Okay, unfortunately, I got to pound the gavel on this one, man. I got to pound the gavel. I think that this is maybe the most devastating story yet that I've seen about the squad, and it brings me no pleasure to talk about it. But this is an article that was originally in Bloomberg. Look at what they say. Leading progressives, like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, had a choice after they won an election in 2018 and expanded their ranks in 2020. Challenge Democratic leaders from the sidelines or get in the game. Now their decision to play by Congress's rules is giving them clout in a government under unified Democratic control with President Joe Biden. Members of Representative Ocasio-Cortez's so-called squad are taking leadership roles in the House and building experience on Capitol Hill, turning them into not just ideological purists, but also strategic legislators. They're gently pushing a bolder Democratic strategy and meeting regularly with White House aides, bringing liberal dreams like a $15 federal minimum wage and a permanent child tax credit within reach. Rather than starting a rival group within the Democratic Party, far-left members are joining and taking leadership positions in the 95-member Congressional Progressive Caucus that's been around for 3 decades. Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, also elected in 2018, now leads the CPC's vote-counting team. This is a different approach than the Tea Party Republicans took after they were elected in 2010 at the midpoint of the first Obama term. Instead, they challenged GOP leadership and spurned the existing conservative Republican study committee to start the Freedom Caucus and draw a starker ideological line. That last part breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. The original name, the working name for Justice Democrats when I co-founded it, was the Left Tea Party. Now, we eventually settled on Justice Democrats, but the actual idea in its genesis was, let's create a Left Tea Party. The whole point was to get a bunch of them elected, get a block, send them to D.C., and have them act exactly like the Tea Party. The Tea Party took on John Boehner and hated John Boehner just as much as they hated Barack Obama. And they made John Boehner's life a living hell because they wouldn't fall in line until they got their way. That is exactly what we wanted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and all the Justice Democrats to do. And here's an article in Bloomberg saying they're now behind the scenes saying we're not going to do that. They had the opportunity and the ability to create a caucus within the Congressional Progressive Caucus, a Justice Democrats caucus, where you get 12 lawmakers and you vote as a block. You vote as a block and say, no, we're going to block legislation from Biden unless and until he includes some of our priorities. Here are our demands. That's what we want. That's not too much to ask for. In fact, that's the bare minimum of what to ask for. That's the bare minimum of what we expect from you. But they're promising to do the opposite of that. So here's another piece from the Hill. Look at the highlighted portion. But notably, the Progressive Caucus didn't draw any red lines in contrast to 3 House Democrats from high-tax blue states. So in other words, what's being explained here is you have these more centrist Democrats, right-wing Democrats, if we're being honest, who are saying, hey, we're not going to vote for any Biden package on infrastructure or taxes unless they bring back this tax cut for wealthy people in blue states, the SALT tax. So Trump got rid of the state and local tax deduction, which means the way it works is when you pay federal taxes, when you pay state taxes in a blue state, you used to be able to deduct the amount you paid in state taxes from your federal taxes. And ultimately it ends up being, that ended up being a giant tax cut for wealthy people in blue states. Trump got rid of that. And then now Democrats are saying, no, we want to bring back the tax break for wealthy people in blue states. And you have Democrats saying, centrist Democrats saying, I'll tank whatever Biden puts in front of me if he doesn't include this. So forget it. Infrastructure, gone. Don't care. Not going to vote for it. Raising taxes on the wealthy in other ways, like the marginal rate or raising the corporate tax, gone. I'm not going to support it unless you do this thing for me. They are saying openly, here's our red line, bitch, try me. That's what the right-wing Democrats are doing. The Congressional Progressive Caucus, you ready for this? So what they released, they outlined 5 priorities for the infrastructure debate. Here's what they say. We want universal access to childcare, as well as paid family leave and paid medical leave, investments in public housing and renewable energy, lowering drug prices, and outlining a pathway to citizenship for certain immigrants. So they list a number of things there, and those things sound lovely, right? Don't those things sound great? None of them have said, and they're red lines, or 2 of them are red lines. None of them have said that. In fact, they're saying the exact opposite. They're not drawing any red lines publicly. They might be saying it behind the scenes, oh, here's our red lines. But what's going to happen when Biden tells you to go take a hike, like he did with the $15 minimum wage, and like he did with the $2,000 checks? What's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Nothing. Nothing's going to happen. They're going to say, okay, yes, sir, I'm sorry, sir. You want to know why? Because they're not their own faction of a Justice Democrats caucus where 12 of them hold the line and force things into bills, which, by the way, is the way that works. The Tea Party got a lot of their priorities passed because of this approach. Joe Manchin always gets what he wants because of this approach. But they're not going to do that. They're, instead of the Justice Democrats caucus, they're part of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and the Congressional Progressive Caucus is making no demands. Why is it every time there's a policy debate, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and 6 to 8 Senate Democrats who are right-wing, they always draw red lines? I'm not voting for it unless X, Y, and Z. And then Biden goes, all right, fine, I'll give you X, Y, and Z. And then the progressives don't do anything equal and opposite. They don't say, no, enough. We demand this. They never do it. And so we never get their priorities. We never get the priorities. Everybody's praising Joe Biden because the price tag was big on his, on the COVID relief bill. None of the stuff is recurring. It's a one shot of adrenaline. Didn't have the $2,000 check. Didn't have the $15 minimum wage. Didn't have the permanent child tax credit, which would have been something that actually lasts and stands and creates a legacy. Didn't have any of that stuff. And you have the left flank of the Democratic Party cheerleading the bill when their whole job is supposed to be to make the bill better and put in our priorities. They're not putting in our priorities. They're not drawing any red lines publicly, any. And you've had Bernie Sanders and you've had AOC both publicly say there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys don't know about. Well, that's the fucking problem, is it's behind the scenes. There's no public pressure. The only tool you have is public pressure because the public agrees with you on your priorities. They agree with you on $15 minimum wage. They agree with you on everything listed here. Are you kidding me? The public would love universal child care and paid family and medical leave and investments in public housing. These are all wildly popular. None of the people in the corrupt establishment are going to support these things because they care more about appeasing their donors than representing the will of the American people. The only way you win is to draw red lines and throw your weight around and rally the public on your side. That's the only way you win. You have to be willing to make enemies within the Democratic Party and force your agenda on them. Joe Manchin does it all the fucking time, and it works. You guys never do it, ever. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's literally the exact opposite of the reason we sent you there. And again, I'm in a unique position to say these things. I co-founded the fucking group. I know what the whole point of the group was. And they have massively strayed from the mission. I don't want to hear excuses anymore. I don't want to hear excuses. If you're not going to fight for a $15 minimum wage, and you didn't, oh, but I did it behind the scenes. And how'd that fucking work out? It didn't work out. I'm not going to give you a fucking A for effort. I care about actually getting the $15 minimum wage. So are you going to draw red lines or are you not going to draw red lines? Are you going to take on your own party leadership or are you not going to take on your own party leadership? And the answer is they're not going to draw red lines. They're not going to take on their own party leadership. And then they're going to fucking declare victory as if they fucking won some shit. You didn't win anything because you drew no red lines and you didn't take on leadership because you care more about going along to get along, taking your crumbs whenever you can get them, and now climbing through the ranks of the party. Congratulations on being like every other fucking politician. Congratulations. God damn it, man. It's so frustrating. You think I want to come out here and shit on the group that I co-founded? Is that something I want to do? Yeah, this thing which is like the defining feature of everything I've done in my life. The main thing I'm supposed to be most proud of. Yeah, I want to come out here and let everybody know they're not doing any of the things that they're supposed to. Yeah, I want to do that. How fucking dense do you have to be? How dumb do you have to be to believe that? This doesn't make me happy. This makes me miserable. It makes me feel like we fucked up from day one. And we did. Because the fact of the matter is, my stupid assumption was, as long as I get people in DC who agree with me and us on the policies, well, then it'll all work out. because we finally have people there who truly believe in Medicare for all and free college and a living wage and ending the wars and a Green New Deal and legalizing marijuana. I was wrong, because it's not just about believing in those things. It's about having the correct strategy to get them implemented and willing to take the fight on and have people hate you in the establishment and in the media. So yes, Democratic leadership is going to hate you if you fight them. The media is going to hate you for taking on Democratic leadership because they're beholden to corporate Democrats. But, you know, I don't know, man. Maybe it's super rare, but very few people are comfortable with taking on that fight. It seemed like the Tea Party was perfectly comfortable doing it. They knew why they were sent there. But people on the left, they don't want to take that fight on. They want the media to love them. They want Democratic leadership to love them. They want everybody to love them all the time. And they end up totally being ineffective as a result of that. No red lines. Funny, the centrists and the right-wingers always have red lines. Always. And then they get what they want. You never have red lines, and you never get what you want. Can you imagine being so naive at this late date to think that any sort of behind-the-scenes negotiation is going to work for the left? That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. There's 100% of the evidence cuts against that theory, but you still have Bernie and AOC and everybody saying it with a straight face. Yeah, no, we're working on it behind the scenes. Don't worry. We're being very sincere and genuine in our conversations with corrupt, elitist ghouls who are totally bought and owned by corporate America. We're having very productive conversations with these people, and maybe something will come from it. Embarrassing.